Joe, being able to keep Garrett around long term, just how important is that for this offensive line, the continuity, and then you just kind of speak a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's played real well this year. I feel like he was good year last year, but I think he's really stepped it up. And then to your point, I think, as much as any position, the continuity of those guys working together is important. And, how they combo blocks and pick up protections, working with that guy next to you is huge. So I think anytime you can keep those guys together, it's a big deal. So we're excited.
Sorry, he's 32, but, you see a lot of tackles who can play in their mid-30s. Why is that a position where maybe you see some older guys, still doing well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have a good answer for you, but every athlete's different, and he's built a little bit different. He's probably is talented a guy. The way he can generate power and the way he can generate anchor. Recover when he gets in a bad position. I think he's a rare athlete for that position, and. I asked that question today. I was like, how old is Garrett? You don't feel. I think. The speed of the skilled players, maybe that's degrades and you don't notice it as much in an offensive lineman. And that old man strength, I guess, sticks around a little bit more. So, but we're excited that it happened.
Zach and Austin, how have they helped Garrett the last couple of years? And how has their coaching kind of been right for Garrett's person?
Yeah, I think, Zach and Austin both, they played the position. Zach probably wasn't the most gifted athlete, different maybe than Garrett. And so, he survived on smarts and technique, and his ability to translate those things to the players, I think, is outstanding. I remember, I forget the year, probably like 2011. It was a special teams period, and I just ended up standing next to Zach when he was playing, and I was like, oh, you got to block Mario Williams this week. How's that? And he spent the next 10 minutes talking about his game plan for how he was going to set on him and how he was going to, adjust. If I see him do this, I'm going to set like this. And I was amazed. I was like, man, you're going to be a great coach one day. And he's like, I'd never do what you guys do. So I remember that conversation and thinking, man, I hope he changes his mind one day, and we're glad he has. So and Zach and Austin, they go back. They played together in college. So they have a great relationship, work well together, and I think they're outstanding in what they do for those guys.
Joe, even for teams that have a long-term starter quarterback, the complexion of the quarterback room itself can change year over year. And I'm just curious what you've thought about this particular group, both with Jared and Zach, and then Davis in that room with them. What do you think is unique about this group and maybe how it's helped?
Yeah, I think it starts with Stiddy. I think he's a veteran, really, a smart guy. And we're in those meeting rooms a lot with them, but they spend a lot of time on their own watching film, and so having that veteran presence to, guide the younger guys through it. They know what to look for. They've got habits that, they can teach the young guys, so I think that's been invaluable. And, Zach's been a great addition, great personality. Those guys get along so well. I think a lot of Thursday nights, they were fussing at Bo because they get together usually on Thursday nights and have dinner at someone's house. They rotate it, and Bo's got family in town, so they're not doing it tonight. So they were mad at him about that. So I just think there's a camaraderie with those guys. They get along. They're unselfish. They root for each other. And you spend so much time here. It helps to like each other. It can be miserable when you don't get along, and you got to spend that kind of time together. So it's just it's a great group.
In the offense, you guys have invested a lot in the offensive line.
Yeah.
You've been here. What has allowed? Is it just the second year in the system? Because obviously, as a group, I think we're playing at a pretty high level.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it goes back to, it's about reps and applying what they're being taught. It's you can be taught something perfectly, but you got to practice it over and over again and have a coach there to reinforce it and correct it. And then, like we talked about earlier, that continuity of working together. Every rep you're going to get a little bit better. You're going to understand the guy next to you a little bit better, how to react to different looks. It's such a don't want to use the word complex position, but there's so many different things that can happen. You know, like, hey, we're blocking a zone play to the right here. All right, our calls may change based on where that linebacker's positioned. They may move late. You know, do we see it, and can we react in time? And the more reps you get on task with those things, you just get better and better. And so I think our philosophy, certainly Sean's philosophy, and I believe in it, is, it starts up front. And if you can't block people, it's hard to coach. And if you can block people, then there's a lot of things you can do. And it's something we believe in strongly.
Coach, when did you realize lining Marvin Mims up all around the field could work? And how much of a stress is that on defense?
Yeah, I think it puts a lot of stress on him. We started experimenting with it, and you weren't sure, like, is this guy going to be able to carry the ball out of the backfield? That's a whole different set of, variables that you're talking about. And he's done great with it. I think, after that first game, it was like, man, he can do this, and let's keep thinking of things that he can do to your point, stress the defense and, get the ball in his hands. He's a talented player, and you got to get creative sometimes to get him the ball, and it's been working out well.
Vance, Levi Wallace was saying the other day he thought he played perhaps his first ever game in his career against the Browns. As you look back at the tape, what were Levi's struggles, and how does it look for him moving forward in playing time if you don't have Riley on Sunday?
Yeah, well, I think Levi, obviously I didn't call a great game if he didn't play a great game. So, it falls on me first. It's never on the player. It's my job to make his job easy. I thought we made some nice adjustments in the second half and came out with a win. Obviously, for us guys, every game's the same. If we win, we correct. If we lose, we correct. We're thankful to win a football game, and we can't apologize for that. But the good stuff we'll build on, and the bad we'll fix. Whoever it is.
Sorry, with Abrams Drain obviously active for the first time against Cleveland, how have you seen him stay engaged throughout the season? Kind of use practice?
Well, when you draft these young players at certain positions, it takes more time for those guys to develop to get ready to play for you. Obviously, corner is a position where if you're not ready, it could be bad, a bad deal for you. But he's practiced well. He's smart. He's engaged in meetings. He's ready to play. He competed well on Monday night. So the more he plays, the more he'll improve.
Can that be hard for rookies sometimes to get them, even if you're not active or you're not up on meeting day, that you've got to still?
Well, that's coaching. That's coaching, right? Everyone's in the same room, and everyone's seeing the same game plan, the same film, and the standard's the same. Whether you're a P squad guy or a guy on the roster who's starting for us, right? If the game plan goes in, right? It's your job to learn a game plan, right? You can be up on Saturday night if someone gets sick. So every week, every player in that room is prepared to play, including rookies.
PJ, that passing day was pretty all or nothing.
Sure.
What's the challenge to keep it concentration?
I think the challenge is kind of what we saw on Monday night. Explosive plays can hurt you, right? You want to make teams grind it out and put drives together, not give them one-play touchdown. So when the team is aggressive like that and the QB has a big arm, he can throw it 70 yards in the air, right? That becomes dangerous if you make a mistake. So it forces you to be exact in coverage, right? If you are, you can make the plays and make them earn and make them grind. If you're giving up explosive passes, that's a bad sign for defense, and we can't do that.
Coach, when there's a running quarterback that you're facing, do you have to do a little give and take with your pass rush, maybe holding them back a little bit in order to contain the quarterback, or how do you deal with that?
I think every plan's different, every QB's different. Obviously, when it's a runner, you have to have a plan to box him in, trap him, or whatever your plan is, right? But every plan is different for each quarterback.
Vance, kind of a big picture question on PJ Locke. I mean, his story, undrafted practice. How do you feel about his journey and how he's moved up to be an established starter? People say he's kind of an inspiration to some of the young.
Yeah, I've been proud of PJ. I thought PJ came in last year and played really well for us and kind of turned our season on defense. And he's continued to lead and to learn the position. And I forget sometimes he's a young player. It's his first time starter out of camp. So, he's still learning. But, man, he is fully engaged. He's in here every day. He comes to the game plan meetings with coaches. So he wants to grow as a player. And he's the same guy every day. He's eager. And he wants to be a great player for his team.
Jonathan Taylor's already one of the best running backs in the league. How much more complicated is it when you have Anthony Richardson, a running quarterback with a great runner like that?
That's the history of the game, right? The running quarterbacks, they add 60-70 yards a game, to the offense. So it's always 180 yards rushing per game, especially with an A-plus back like Taylor there. It's complicated because of the quarterback running game. He adds a gap, and you're short because you have a safety, high safety, in the middle of the field. You're short, but having to plan for that's going to be critical. But the runner, he's a special runner, and stopping the run, it's going to be part of our plan, obviously. But adding the QB to it makes it difficult.
So it's not the exact same offense, but because you saw Baltimore and what Lamar does it kind of prepare you that, hey, we've had to deal with this added running threat?
Yeah, it's tough to say that. It's a different offense, different kind of passing game with Lamar. But every Sunday it's a challenge in this league, right? And that's why you're playing. Everyone has weapons, receivers, a QB who can run, who can throw. So it's our job to put plans together to stop people and play our best on Sunday, and that's every Sunday for us.
Vance, you've seen Garrett from the beginning, both.
Yes.
How excited or how happy is that he's got to the point where he's probably going to finish out his career?
Yeah, that's exciting for him. Obviously he loves being a Bronco. And he was drafted here. He's made Pro Bowls here. He's improved as a player every single year. But he's a great person, and he loves his teammates, loves the Broncos, loves his city. So it's rewarding for this kid to finish here, and it's fun for us all to see it.
Good afternoon. Good to be with you. Obviously, the win seems like a couple weeks ago there against Cleveland. Good performance from us and our team, and great to be back home again. Got a good Colts team coming in here. They're good on special teams, so we'll be ready to go. So with that, any questions you may have?
Just like the year, or the later ago, that we asked a few weeks ago, how many more scenarios do you have to work through because guys are just getting nicked up, man, just the attrition, having younger guys ready to go or practice squad guys or whatever?
Yeah, especially in the special teams world, that can be, pretty transient, for different circumstances and such. But, the good thing is our guys are working hard. We do post-practice periods to get some extra reps and that kind of deal. But, there are interchangeable parts and pieces in there. Fortunately, those guys that, right there is whether they're going to be in or out are good workers, attention to detail. So you're just excited about those opportunities that those guys may get.
The Dallas muff off the block, did you show that to the guys by any chance? That's one that it seems like not everyone knows the rule about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I did show it to the guys, and it's a play of week lessons learned. But to speak to the other point, sometimes, Mike, you're covering so many things in the special teams world, whether it's onside kicks, return after safeties. You can't cover everything, and so sometimes when you get a new guy in there, maybe I covered it 2 weeks ago, but this player just showed up a week and a half ago. So not to say that was the case, but just speaking to the point how transient can be. It's a great lesson learned, obviously, and I think plays like that pop up every week, whether it's offense, defense, but especially in our phase of the game, you're just using those as teaching points. So if that comes up in our game, our guys will be ready.
Did you ever see with Marvin, if he gets a touch on offense, maybe it gives him juice for his next return or vice versa, or do you think those things are kind of separate?
Yeah, I couldn't speak to that. I just know that Marvin's done a tremendous job for us. He's playing some flyer or gunner for us, especially in the pooch punting area because he's got such good ball skills, and he's been such an asset for us. We just always monitor or are aware of, how many reps he has there on offense, whether he needs a break. But the punt return element, he's been exceptional again this year, and just waiting to get more opportunities there.
Because of that play that happened in Dallas, they talk about the Leon Lett play, which is obviously a long time ago.
Sure.
Do you have a standard reel that every year you'll show guys that are plays that as long as the rules haven't changed, you're like, hey.
You build. Yeah. Yes, we do. I think most guys do. They have a library of plays that pop up, and whether it's a block that goes past the line of scrimmage. There's so many that you end up covering. You cover it in the OTAs. You cover it in the training camp, and what you have to be smart, or not smart, what you have to be aware of is covering that during the season, because some of those guys that you showed those clips to in OTAs, or maybe you showed them in training camp, aren't here. So that just has to continue to be a library and an inventory that you're building up as the course of the season goes on.